चलें सर। सर जी जितने चाह रहे हैं एटलीस्ट उनको तो पढ़ने का शौक है।
जी, तो this is Sir Haris and we are going to solve our MCQs paper for O level accounting 7707 and IGCSE 0452. So let's start this paper. There are 35 MCQs in the paper and 1 hour 15 minutes will be there. This paper has come in October November 23 13. October November 23 13. The paper is of 13. Why I am solving this paper? Because I just want to make you realize and understand that the paper is going to be an easy one. So it will not be very difficult. It will be an easy one. So you can easily assess from the current paper, which has come in October, and definitely we'll do February, March also, that the papers are coming, they are quite easy. So which action does not reduce the owner's capital? Which action does not reduce the owner's capital? You can answer me in the message also. Rather, you can answer me in the message, that would be more appropriate. And when you are not able to understand, then we can discuss it. Which action does not reduce the owner's capital? Business expense paid using a personal check, cash withdrawn from the business bank account for personal use, goods taken for inventory for personal use, personal expenses paid using the business cash. So D is basically drawings, C is also goods drawing, B is also a drawings, but A is basically introducing new capital. Because if you are paying business expenses through your personal check, it means that you are introducing capital. So which action does not reduce the owner's capital? That is A is the answer. Business expense paid using a personal check. So this is how we have done that. So A we have already done. So 2023 October November 13 variant. Which statement correctly describes the accounting equation? Capital is equal to asset minus liabilities. So A is the answer. That capital is equal to asset minus liabilities. We have already discussed that so many times. Capital is equal to asset plus liabilities is wrong. Capital is equal to current asset minus current liabilities. That is working capital. So you need to remember that working capital is equal to current asset minus current liabilities. And capital is equal to current asset plus current liabilities. That basically becomes nothing. What could a credit balance on a ledger account represent? What could a credit balance on a ledger account represent? Accrued income is an asset. It has a debit balance. Asset is always an asset. It has a debit balance. Expenses are always debit. It has a debit balance. Prepaid income means income received in advance. It has a credit balance because it's a liability. Yes, Emma, you are right answer. So let me write it for you. Prepaid income means in advance income received in advance. That is known as prepaid income. Or it is also known as unearned income. Means income received but not earned. So that is a liability because you have to provide the services to the other party. It is not yet provided, but you have received the amount. Next G. Aiden purchased goods from J and paid for them by bank transfer. Means he is making the payment through online payment and definitely through bank also. When he received a statement of account, J says he has not received the payment. Which document would help Aiden check that he had made the payment? That is known as check counterfile, no, paying slip, petty cash voucher. That is going to be the bank statement because we have paid the amount through bank statement. So bank statement is going to be the answer. So bank statement is the answer because when he will see, Aiden will see his bank statement, he can easily, the transaction will be shown over there that he has made the payment to Jay through bank. The bank statement is the right answer. This is business document basically. At the end of the month, how is the total from the sale journal recorded in the ledger? Total from the sale journal recorded in the ledger. Credited to the customer's personal account, credited to sales account, debited to customer's personal account, debited to sales account. G. Anyone who can answer that? This basically MCQs looks little technical. Now let me make you understand this. We are talking about sales journal. In sales journal, we record the names of the people to whom the goods are sold on credit, their individual amounts, and total. 400, 300, 200, 100, and the total is going to be 1000. So where is the total of sales journal will go? It will be credited to the sales account, because the amount which is going to be recorded in the customer account in a trade receivable account, that is going to be recorded in the sales ledger, and that will be recorded separately, because in sale ledger we will prepare T account of A and it is debited by 400. In sale ledger we will prepare T account of B, it is debited by 300. In sales ledger we will prepare T account of C, it will be debited by 200. In sales ledger, we will prepare T account of D. It will be debited by 100. But the total of the sales journal will go on towards the credit side of the sales account. So it is credited to sales account. Yahan pe, if you have seen that it is debited to customer personal account, that's right. But that it will be debited to the individual personal account, that the examiner is talking about the individual account. And the question is talking about the total of the sales journal. That will be credited to sales account. A customer paid 15,600 to a supplier after receiving a 2.5% cash discount and a trade discount of 20%. What was the amount of the invoice entered in the purchase journal? Always remember that trade discount is given at the time of purchase and sale. Rather, cash discount is given at the time of payment. So when we are going to record this transaction in purchase journal, we are purchasing the goods. We are not making the payment. So the question basically requiring us that a customer paid 15,600 to a supplier after receiving a 2.5% cash discount and a trade discount of 20%. What was the amount of the invoice entered in the purchase journal? Amount of the invoice entered in the purchase journal will be after a trade discount of 20%, but before a cash discount of 2.5%. So what I will do, I have to go reverse. 15,600 is equal to 97.5% of the amount which has been recorded in the purchase journal. So the purchase invoice should have been 15,600 divided by 0.975. You will get the answer. GS. So you will get the answer. The answer is going to be, that it will be C, that is 16,000. Sir, I don't understand this. Okay. Paper October, November 23, variant 1.3. So let's do it in a different manner. Now this 16,000 is equal to 80% of the amount before trade discount. So the total amount before trade discount was 16,000 divided by 0.8. Answer we have already calculated, but I just want to show some other thing. That is 20,000. Now let's do it in the right manner through 1 to 10. We have gone from 10 to 1 actually. Reverse. Now let's move from 1 to 10. So the amount of purchase was 20,000. And then there is a trade discount of 20%. So trade discount will not be shown anywhere in the books. It will be subtracted from the total amount. So calculate 20% of 20,000, you will get 4,000, right? The 4,000 will not be shown anywhere else. So the sale amount, so the purchase amount which needs to be entered in purchase journal is 16,000. So C is the answer, that's fine. But how much we are paying? We are paying, when the payment has been made, we are also receiving a cash discount of 2.5%. So 16,000 into 2.5%, if you do that, you will get an amount of 400. And 16,000 minus 400, you will get 15,600. But we have been given 15,600, the amount paid to supplier. So we have to go reverse. First, we have to divide it by 97.5% or 0.975 to get 16,000. That is the answer. And then again, if you want to go beyond that, or you want to find an amount before the amount of purchase actually, before trade discount, you will divide it by 0.8 and that is 20,000. But you remember that the trade discount will not shown anywhere. So in purchase journal, we will write 16,000 rather than any other amount, rather than 15,600. So this MCQs was little technical as compared to what I was expecting. A trader maintain a petty cash book using the impressed system. The impressed amount is $120. The petty cash transaction during the month of June were receipt from a customer 21, payments, stationery, postage, cleaning, payment to supplier 40. How much was given to the petty cashier on 1st July to restore the impressed? Impressed amount कितनी है बेटा? 120. Receipt कितनी है? 21. So इसको हम subtract कर लेंगे. It means that we have been 120 was there in the account, and then receipt was there of 21, and we have payments of 25, 10. So the amount was we were having is 46. So the 74 is going to be the amount. So B is going to be the answer. Let me explain it a little bit. Because it is a petty cash book and we have using impress system, so it means that the impressed amount is 120. The brought down balance of the cash is 120. Now we have more 21 we have received, and the payment we have made, that is 25 minus 10 minus 20 and minus 40. So the resultant amount that we are having is 46. So at the end, the carried down is 46 now, but we want at the start of every month, we want an amount of impressed amount is 120. So you have to add 74 to make the impressed amount again back to the 120. So 74 will be taken out of bank and put it in the petty cash to restore the impressed. B is the answer. 120 was already there. Paula's trial balance contained errors. Fixture and fitting debit is right, light and heat debit is right, purchases debit right, insurance debit right, sales credit right, trade payable credit right, trade receivable debit right, bank overdraft debit wrong. Bank overdraft needs to be written on the credit side. Capital credit right, drawings needs to be written on the debit side. So 2,000 is going to be debited and 1,000 is going to be credited. What is the corrected trial balance total? So you can easily calculate, that is basically 25,500. Is there any other error? No. You can calculate it again and you will find the answer. That's fine. The following entry was made in a journal to record the correction of an error. Wasim to bank. Which error has been corrected? So can you tell me which error has been corrected? We have passed the entry Wasim to bank. You have to go reverse. That what was the error which resulted in this rectifying entry? A check for $160 was credited to Wasim account, but no debit entry was made. So we will have suspense then. That is not right. A check 160 was debited to bank account, but no credit entry was made. That is also not correct because that will also affect suspense. But in rectifying entry, there is no suspense. A check paid to Wasim 160 was credited to his account and debited to bank account. Yes, that's the answer because that is the reversal. Rather, that is also not the answer because check paid to Wasim, yes, Wasim to bank. What we have done bank to Wasim. Now we will do again Wasim to bank, but with double amount. Complete reversal of entries. So C is the answer. Quite easy. This statement correctly describes a suspense account. It is an account open to check for errors in a trial balance. It is a permanent account used to correct the statement of financial position. It's a temporary account used to correct errors of complete reversal. It is an account that is opened when the total of a trial balance disagree. Very simple. D is the answer. But always remember that it is a temporary account, but not only for reversal, right? It is used to balance the balance sheet and to balance the trial balance. It is an account when the total of trial balance decided. D is the answer. A trader prepared a draft income statement which showed a profit for the year of 36,000. A check of the books revealed the following information. Drawings made by the owner 900 had been debited to wages account. Provision for doubtful debt was increased by 20 at the year end. The income statement was charged with the total provision of 260. Total of the discount allowed in the cash book 140 for 1 month had not been debited to discount allowed account. What was the corrected profit? So let's pass the entries first, because otherwise maybe I will find it difficult to find the correct profit, or you may also find it difficult. The first entry, drawings made by owner had been debited to wages. So what we'll do, drawing to cash, wages to cash. Now the correct rectifying entry will be drawings debit and wages credit. This we have to do 900 and 900. The last entry is that the discount allowed column has not been debited to discount allowed account. That's quite simple. We will debit the discount allowed column and suspense will come, right? And the amount will be 140 because no other side is given. So when no other side is given, we will definitely go for suspense. Now let's talk about the second entry. We have to pass the income statement to provision for doubtful debts with 20. But you have basically charged income statement with 260. So 20 they should have been charged, but 240 is overcharged. You will go for the reverse entry. You will put it back into the income statement. So provision is going to be debited and income statement or profit and loss account, statement of profit and loss will be credited with an amount of 240. Because 240 provision has been charged extra, additional charge of provision, or provision has been overcast by 240. So wages is credited, profit may 900 will be added. Then profit and loss account 240 credit, profit, it will be added in the profit, and discount allowed 140 that will be subtracted from the profit. So this is going to be the answer 37. Answer which is the answer then? 37,000. C is the answer. Sorry. If you just calculate it, you will get the answer C. 36,000 plus 900 because of decrease in expense plus 240 and minus 140. Yes, rectify entries are important. Without that, you will find it difficult. Alice cash book showed a debit balance of 100 on her bank account. She compared her cash book to the bank statement and updated the cash book for the following items. Credit transfer to a credit supplier. Then credit transfer from a credit customer. Bank interest paid. What was the debit balance on the bank account after the cash book was updated? There was a debit balance of 100 on her bank and updated the cash book for the following items. 100 minus 80 plus 112 minus 19. We will get the answer. Why? Because credit transfer to a credit supplier means that this is a payment. It will come on the credit side of cash book. Credit transfer from a customer is a receipt. It will come on the debit side of cash book, and bank interest paid is also a payment. It will come on the credit side of cash book. So when you will find the balance, you will get it easily. The answer, that is C, 113. The balance of cash at bank shown in the cash book is 1200. The bank statement at the same date shows the balance to be 1440, which could explain the difference. So what is the difference because of what is the reason, the difference because of the difference, why difference is coming? Payment to supplier 120 entered on the wrong side of the cash. Now always remember that payment to supplier usually come on the credit side of the cash. Right? You have debited it. Now you will credit it by double amount by 240. But if you credit the amount by 240, it will be subtracted from the cash. So that won't give you the same answer. Bank charges 240, not in the cash book. That will also decrease the cash book. Again, there is a difference that will increase. Check to supplier 240, not yet presented to the bank. That is not presented checks. And not presented checks, the balance of the bank statement is, if not given, is credit. So when bank statement is having a credit balance, not presented checks, minus, and not credited checks, add. So C is the answer. 1440 minus MP 240, you will get 1200. And the same balance is regarding the cash book. So C is the answer. check to supplier not yet presented to the bank. This was quite easy, not difficult at all. So next question, let's discuss. Jane wished to make a contra entry between a sale ledger account and a purchase ledger account. The credit entry was made correctly, but the debit entry was entered in the sales return account in error. What was the effect of this error? So again, this is quite a interesting question. Jane wished to make contra entry between a sale ledger account and a purchase ledger account. The credit entry was made correctly, but the debit entry was entered in the sales return account in error. What was the effect of this error? Total purchase ledger balance were overstated. Debit entry means that you have credited sale ledger control account, but you haven't debited the purchase ledger control account. So total purchase ledger balances were overstated. Right? So A is going to be the answer. So A is the answer because sale ledger balance were overstated. C will won't come. Why, sir? Because debit entry has nothing to do with sales. Why, sir? Because in sale ledger control account, it is already recorded. Entry will be PLCA debit and SLCA credit. Right? Contra है, set off. You have to cancel out. तो वो कह रहा है कि it is not recorded in the purchase ledger control. So it is not recorded on the debit side. So PLC is not recorded. So total purchase ledger balance were overstated because we haven't debited it yet. Which transaction is capital expenditure? Yes. Easy, please. Anyone? Yes. Right answer. Purchase of a new computer because new asset is purchased. So that is going to be. Sales return were incorrectly recorded as purchase return in an income statement. Sales return has been recorded as purchase return. What was the effect of this error? Gross profit, cost of sales. Sales return, it means sales return. Sales may say you haven't subtracted sales return from sales, but you have subtracted purchase return from purchases. So cost of sales will decrease. Cost of sales will be understated and gross profit will be overstated, right? And profit will be overstated. So the answer is going to be D because the other answers are incorrect. It has nothing to do with capital employed. Cost of sale was understated actually. So overstated is wrong. Gross profit was understated or overstated actually. There it is written understated. So profit for the year was overstated is the right answer. Because gross profit is overstated actually. What is the reason for charging depreciation on a non-current asset? To build up a fund of money that can be used to replace the asset? No. To charge the cost of the asset over the life which benefits from its use? Yes. To ensure that profit is not understated in the income statement? No. To show the asset at its market value in the statement of financial position that is always recorded at cost. So B is the answer. To spread the cost of the asset over its useful life for the benefits. Which non-current asset should be depreciated using the revaluation method? Very easy. That is A is the answer. Loose tools. So loose tools is going to be the answer. Which non-current asset should be depreciated using the revaluation method? That is loose tools. A motor van originally cost 11,500, had been depreciated by 9,000. The van was sold for 2,750. How should the profit or loss on the sale of the van be shown in the disposal account? He's saying the disposal account may how you will show that loss. Let's prepare the disposal account. So cost will be debited. Here I will write the cost 11,500. Then Depreciation will come on the credit side, that is 9,000. Then 2750, when was sold for 2750, bank figure on the credit side. Now this is 11,750 and this is 11,500. So 250, we have a profit of 250. 250. How should the profit or loss on the sale of van be shown in the disposal account? 250 debit. This is profit. But disposal account, it is shown on the debit side. 250. So B is going to be the answer. That is quite easy actually. Joseph sells goods on credit and maintains a provision for doubtful debts. He wants to increase his provision doubtful debt by 400. Which journal entry record this increase in the provision for doubtful debt? Income statement debit, provision for doubtful debt credit, 400. C is the answer. You can easily see that the MCQs out of 35, 15 to 20 MCQs are quite straightforward. Very, very simple. C is the answer. Rather, it doesn't make any, just it will take a second to grab the concept and to give the answer if you have already gone through proper accounting concepts. What is an advantage of operating as a sole trader? Being entitled to all profits? Yes. Being responsible for all losses? Having limited liability? Having unlimited liability? Advantage. Being entitled to all profits. That's it. Anna provided the following information at the end of her financial year. Fee received from clients, rent receivable, office expenses, motor expense, drawings. What was her profit for the year? Income minus expenses, you will get the profit. 78,000 plus 11,000, 89,000 minus 20,000 minus 9,000. So you will subtract 89,000 minus 29,000. So you will get the answer. That is 60,000. So D is going to be the answer for this question. Rent income, these two are expenses. Drawings won't come because examiner is asking for the profit, not for capital. Drawings usually come in the statement of financial position. It does not affect the income statement at all or the profit. A trader provided the following data: total purchases, purchase return, carriage inward, goods taken for own use. What was the net figure for purchases in the income statement? Means what was the net figure after subtracting or adding all these things? How much, what amount of purchases you will write in the income statement? Very easy. Purchase return will be subtracted, carriage inward will be added, goods taken for own use will be subtracted. That's it. Goods drawing will be subtracted, carriage inward will be added, purchase return will be subtracted. You will get the answer. Quite simple and very easy. Pari and Ira are in partnership, sharing profit and losses equally. Interest on the capital account balance is allowed at 6% per annum. Pari is entitled to a salary of 5,000 per annum. Capital account balances at the start of the year were 60,000 for Pari and 40,000 for Ira. Profit for the year was 27,500. How much residual profit was credited to Pari's current account at the end of the year? So he's asking for the residual profit basically, and residual profit are shared equally. If you find the total profit, total residual profit, you can divide it by 2 to find his share of profit of Pari. Let's do it. Profit for the year is 27,500. Add interest on drawing. So do you think interest on drawing is given in the question? No. Then we will subtract interest on capital. We will subtract salary. So salary is 5,000. Let's subtract it. Interest on capital is 6%. So 60,000, 6% is 3,600 for Pari, and 40,000, 6%, 2,400 for Ira. Total interest, which is subtracted, which needs to be subtracted, is going to be 6,000. So 27,500 minus 11,000, you will get the answer of your profit after appropriation. And then you will divide it by 2 to find the residual profit for Pari, because profit and loss are going to be shared equally. So what is going to be the answer? 16,000 is the profit. I think I've written it wrong. 16,500 is the profit. So 8250, A is will be the answer. So A is going to be our answer. That is simple. Next MCQs. So there is no reason that if you have done some part of the MCQs and you have good understanding about accounting, you will get more, at least more than 25 for an average student and above 30 for a good student. Which item is directly affected by the dividend policy of a limited company? General reserve, ordinary share capital, preference share capital, retained earnings. What basically he is asking for, that dividend. What dividend is affected by which thing? It is affected by retained earnings, because dividend is paid out of retained earnings. It is subtracted from the retained earnings column. So D is going to be the answer. What are the features of a debenture? Return received will be recorded as interest. Rate of return of the debenture is fixed rate. It is not based on profit, and voting right is no. So debenture is an acknowledgement of a debt. It's a non-current liability on which we have to pay interest, which is a fixed rate, or we receive interest at a fixed rate, and there was no voting right at all. How are subscription received and subscription written off recorded in a receipt and payment account? Again, but this is very important to understand, that the question is basically asking you to how are subscription received and subscription written off recorded in a receipt and payment account. Subscription received will be recorded in a receipt and payment account as a debit entry, and subscription written off won't come in receipt and payment account. Why, sir? Receipt and payment account is a cash account. Receipt and payment account is a cash account, right? So the answer is D. Why, sir? Okay. Subscription received, bank debit. So that's why subscription received will come on the debit side of receipt and payment account as a debit. Subscription written off, the entry will be irrecoverable debts debit, and subscription itself is going to be credited. Accrued subscription is going to be credited. So there is no bank involved in the entry. So it won't come. It will come on the credit side of subscription account and debit side of the bad debts account. It will not come in receipt and payment account. Par Golf Club has a shop that sold golfing equipment. The treasurer provided the following information for the shop for the year ended 31st December. Sales of golfing equipment, opening inventory of golfing equipment, closing inventory of golfing equipment, purchasing of golfing equipment, return from customer is a sales return, carriage on purchases. What was the shop's gross profit? That's quite easy. Sales, you will subtract, say, return from customer, 200. The sales will be 5,100. 5,300 minus 200. 5,100 sales. Cost of sales will be opening inventory, 400. Plus purchases, 2,700. Plus carriage inward, 100. And minus closing inventory, that will be 450. So the answer for the cost of sales will be 2,750. When you subtract 5,100 minus 2,750, you will get the answer 2,350. B is the answer. So B is going to be the answer, 2,350. Very easy, very simple. Just a trading account, that's it. But trading account for the subscription for the non-profit organization. Which option contains only indirect cost? Indirect cost means indirect, not direct material, not direct labor. Carriage inward, factory rent, wages of factory supervisors, carriage inward, raw material, wages of machine operators, depreciation of machinery, factory rent, wages of factory supervisor, depreciation of machinery, raw material, wages of machine operator. Yes. So C is the answer. Yes. Depreciation of machinery, factory rent, and wages of factory supervisor. These all things are basically factory overheads. Wages of machine operator is a direct labor cost. Carriage inward also comes in direct material. Raw material also is direct material. Capital of the business is higher at the end of year 2 than it was at the end of year 1. No additional capital has been introduced during the year 2. What does this mean? Very simple. बताएं. I didn't find that kind of simple question though. First 10 to 12 MCQs were little problematic. 15, almost 15. Not that difficult, but little bit. But the remaining 20 are quite easy. B is the answer. Yes, the business has made a profit. That's why from the opening capital, the closing capital is higher. Rahat has not maintained a full set of double entry records. She has details of her assets and liabilities at the start and at the end of the year. What additional information does Rahat need in order to be able to prepare her income statement for the year? Yes. A statement of fare at the start, a summary of receipt and payment account for the year, the amount of her capital at the end of the year, the rate of inventory turnover for the year, that is receipt and payment account. Why? Because the opening assets and closing assets are already given. This is from incomplete records. When you solve incomplete record question, you have been given the opening assets and opening liabilities, closing assets and closing liabilities, and receipt and payment account. What you do? You prepare SLCA, PLCA, expense account, income account, and then you prepare income statement and balance sheet. So for income statement, you should have statement of fare at the start and at the end, which is given already. Summary of receipt and payment account, B is the answer. That is also necessary to solve the question. Toby's purchases for the year was 13,000. His closing inventory was 1,000 more than his opening inventory. Today, Toby's gross margin is 20%. What was the Toby's revenue for the year? That is very easy because margin is 20% and we have to find revenue, and his closing inventory was 1,000 more than the opening inventory. You can take an example. Closing inventory is 1,000 more than his opening inventory. So let's suppose that opening inventory is 1,000 plus purchases 13,000. Then closing inventory is going to be 2,000. Example I have taken. So the answer is going to be 12,000 is going to be the cost of sales. Now gross margin have been given. So you have to convert margin into markup. 12,000 into 20 over 80. Percentage over 100 minus percentage. That will become 4,000. And cost of sales is 4,000 plus 12,000, 16,000. 20 over 80, how much it will become? 3,000, sorry. So 15,000 is the answer. B is the answer. Opening inventory 1,000, closing inventory 1,000 more than the opening inventory. 13,000 purchases, cost of sale 12,000. Okay. But here is gross margin is given. You can't find that. You have to find markup. You have to find markup, not margin. So margin into markup is percentage over 100 minus percentage. 20 over 80 you have to multiply, and then you will get the answer. 3,000, which is GP. Cost plus GP is sales. CD Limited out a long-term loan and use part of the funds to pay some of its credit suppliers early. How did this affect the trade payable turnover days and the return on capital employed ratio? Took out a long-term bank loan. So what will happen? Bank loan will increase. So return on capital employed, it will increase. The lower side, because of the loan increase, the lower side will increase, which will decrease the return on capital employed. And because we have paid the trade payable, so the trade payable turnover ratio, trade payable over credit purchase into number of days in a year, the trade payable will also decrease, which is come on the upper side. So A is the answer. Trade payable turnover ratio will decrease and return on capital employed ratio will also decrease. You can solve it through figure also. Which characteristics of a financial statement required that financial statement be clearly presented and assume that the users of the financial statement will have a reasonable